And we are live. The song is great. First of all, thank you so much for joining us. We are here at Stream Queens Con Part 2. Hello, panelists. We can make some noise, y'all. Go ahead.
Hi.
Yes.
Get
Don't be
into it.
shy. Get into it. I hope that we're all doing lovely today. Thank you for joining us for Stream Queens Con Part 2. I'm going to be real quick about this little introduction because I know how our panels go and we'd be running out of time, which is a great problem to have because we got some things to talk about. I will be your moderator for one of our visibility panels. This is our content creators with disabilities panel, and I'm so excited to be hosting this panel once again. For those of you that don't know, I go by Surreal Camille here on the Twitch, here in these Twitch streets and elsewhere. As a drag artist, it's Camille Eon because I just be changing shit, you know. And in my personal life, I work as a behavior therapist. I work with children on the autism spectrum, and I love what I do. And it's a pleasure and a privilege to be able to moderate this panel and put the spotlight on these incredible creators. We were kikiing before when we were doing our tests, and I cannot wait to get into it. So, without further ado, let's do it.
Mind if I slither in?
Okay, that I thought I turned that off, and that is great timing. But while I sort that out, let's pass it over to Michael Vickery, aka MVic Plays, here on Twitch. How you doing, Michael? Tell us
Hi,
about
I'm doing
yourself.
good. I'm Vic Plays. You can call me Vic, Vic, Michael, whatever you like. Just don't call me Big Mikey, Big Mike, or the N word, and we're chilling. That's kind of my
Simple.
intro.
I love that.
Um, Thank you. I'm a gay, black, disabled variety streamer on Twitch here. I'm a social worker in the daytime. I'm a case manager. Um, and yeah, I play a lot of different variety games. I play a lot of DVD, Fortnite, that kind of thing.
Love that.
I don't know what else.
No, you're good. I'm sorry. I was like DVD Fortnite. Yes, what else?
I mean,
What?
all kinds of things. The list is crazy.
Yes, and you know what? And we will be talking about the games we play, good, bad, ugly,
Mhm.
beautiful. We'll be chatting about it. So thank you for joining us, Vic. I'm gonna go with that one. Uh,
Oh,
we're gonna jump
wait,
on
what?
Vic. Oh my God, what did you just call me?
Call me Vic.
That's it. Okay, Vic, I got you. Okay, we're gonna pass it over to our fellow drag artists in the chat today. We have Neftis Iman. Hello, Neftis.
Hi, I'm from Sacramento. Originally from the Bay Area, and I do drag pretty much wherever I can, primarily in the Bay Area. I'm also a gamer too. I haven't really stepped into streaming as I think I'm one of the only ones on the panel that has done drag primarily in the clubs. So being here on this panel is really a privilege and an honor, and thank you, Serial Camille, for giving me this opportunity. And I'm just ready to talk to you guys about what it's like being a disabled drag performer. So yeah.
Yes, and I'm so excited to hear your perspective. Now here at the con, there are a lot of drag artists featured. This panel isn't necessarily centered around drag. It's just you. It's just you and me, Neftis. We are the
Yeah.
drag artists on this panel. Jay Justice does do some cosplay as well. But yeah, we're here to chat about y'all, the things you do, and I really can't wait to get into your drag career. And before we do that, we're going to pass it over to another fabulous friend of mine who I had the pleasure of meeting here on Twitch. We have the incredible icon, Show Sheepy. Welcome, welcome.
Hi, I'm Sho Sheepy. You can call me Sheepy. It My name is Sho Sheepy because I'm so sleepy all the time. It's the chronic fatigue. I'm autistic, disabled, chronically ill. I don't stream. I haven't streamed in a long time, but I still try to keep up appearances on Twitter and things like that. And I might come back to streaming. I don't know. But I do show up on Twitch once in a while on friend streams, usually singing or playing games and stuff.
Yeah, Sheepy's got the voice. Come on now. And if you feel so inclined, I won't press you, but if you feel so inclined to grace us with your voice, you're welcome to, but no pressure. Well, stay tuned. Stay tuned. We have to pay for that. And last but not least, we also have someone who I've done no less than 2,000 panels with. We have that Jay Justice. Hello, Jay.
Hi, well, it's 2001. We made
We did
it.
it. Look at us.
Hey everyone, I'm Jay Justice. I am a queer, black, disabled, chronically ill content creator. I do editing for graphic novels, literature, and video games. I also do consulting for all of the above. I love making content that is accessible and in as many ways as possible. I love supporting my community. I do stream on Twitch 5 days a week because I apparently hate myself and want to suffer. I play a lot of video games. I do cooking streams, cosplay crafting streams, and just having a good time playing lots of indie games and lots of RPGs. As for cosplay, I do a lot of cosplay. I have over 114 costumes. I've been doing this
Oh,
for a
wow.
long time. I do experiment a bit with gender in my presentation. I go by she, her when I am female presenting, and I go by he, him when I'm male presenting. A lot of times when I cosplay male characters, it's hard to like be the ideal version of what people want a man to look like. And I really take comfort in the fact that in our community, there are many ways for a man to look, and there's no wrong way for you to present your gender. So I'm all about supporting the people that support us and keeping that going for sure. So I'm really happy to be part of Stream Queens. Again, I love this con so much.
Yes.
Thank you guys for having me.
So glad to have you. You add so much to the panels every time we see you chatting, whether they're our panels or other people's panels. Anyone that you're chatting with, you're gracing with your presence, and that goes for all y'all. And I cannot wait to get into it. So how about we do that? Really quick for the captions below, just for a note for y'all. Anytime the captions say "you" is speaking, that would be me because it is coming through my Google feed right here. And anytime the captions say Adalia Reyes, that is our lovely friend Neftis Iman. And I'm gonna go to put the spotlight on you, my drag sis. Who is Adalia Reyes, and how do we arrive at Neftis Iman?
So when I started drag 3 years ago, that was the one I picked. I made a list of about 10 names, and that was the one where I was like, you know what? It's like a little ethnic, but like people can still like pronounce it. And I came to the conclusion of Nefties just after a while, like doing it for like 2 years. It was like, you know what? I feel kind of stuck with what I've been doing. I don't feel like the name I've been walking around really represents me. So I changed it. I
Yeah.
took Amon from the 80s supermodel Amon, love her to death. And I got Nefties from the Egyptian goddess of death and community. And I translate it roughly to faith in community.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
You better stay ready. We're all like shook the house
Yes.
down. Fierce. So we're gonna jump into a fill in the blank question because I work with kids and this is when I'm helping them with their homework. There's a lot of fill in the blank going on, so my head is just always there. So let's say Twitch would be a better place for people with disabilities if fill in the blank. And whoever would like to jump in first, you are welcome to. I know this is it's a big
A
blank.
loaded question.
And because it is such a loaded question, my alert still goes off behind me, but you can't hear it. I solved it. But because this is such a loaded question, like y'all feel free to, pick on any one particular, anything that just is, that speaks to your experience on Twitch. And if not on Twitch, the drag scene for you, NFTs Iman, other places where you put out your creativity and your work, Sheepy, for when you're not on Twitch. But, we hear about captioning. We hear about things like the different like speech to text functions, sound functions, and things that come through Twitch streams. So what are you all's
All
perspective
right.
on that?
I'll just say it. Twitch would be a better place for people with disabilities if the ownership behind Twitch could acknowledge that accessibility is not just something that they have to give lip service to, but it's actually a way to increase the value of your product and make it usable for millions more people. It will literally make you money, but your own like baggage with acknowledging that disability exists, that you have disabled
Hmm.
users and people who are on this platform, it is such a hardship just to get them to even see that you are here, because it would not be difficult for them to just make captions a native thing that we don't have to do plugins for. It would not be something that's that difficult, and yet they don't do it.
Mhm.
Exactly.
There it is. And that's such a big thing, like lip service versus like actual necessary thing. Like, because we talked about this a little bit at our previous panel when there was the big discussion over the blind playthrough name change and things like that versus actually making your website accessible for people that are blind. So there's so many things that affect people. Neftis, what are some things that you've experienced? Like, if for you, I would ask, more people would get involved in drag, or more people with disabilities would get involved in drag. If How would you fill in that blank?
If honestly, if bars were just more accessible, period. I mean, from what I can gather right now, like my home bar, Badlands in Sacramento, like yeah, it's very big, but I know of only like one area where people who have mobility issues, specifically those that are wheelchair users, can go up and down the second floor. And even with that too, I've just noticed in other bars I've been to, it's small, it's cramped, it's packed, it's tiny. Like if you are a disabled person, say like you're blind and you go there with like a friend, I kind of do worry about asking some of my friends that are also blind, but like also use canes more prevalently than I do, just because of like one, the spaces are very loud. It's dark, and like if they're not near me, I worry like if it's really just a safety issue, to be honest. And I feel like if bars acknowledge that they had customers that were disabled and like really brought out like interpreters too, instead of just like at pride events, but like at every event.
Yeah.
That's another
Mhm,
thing too.
mhm.
It sounds like another case of you are keeping yourself from more money by
Yeah.
not allowing as many people as possible to access your venues, your content. Vic, Sheepy, anything you wanted to add on things that Twitch or other platforms could be doing better, other spaces?
Well, we were just talking last night. Well, even coming in through this Google Meet thing, like they have an automatic area for captions, closed captions, and on Twitch, like you have to have that extension, as we said. And there are so many other extensions that you can add for whatever plethora, whether it be your pronouns or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
That Twitch doesn't automatically have integrated in their system that we clearly wanted. We had a how long did it take to get the tags and things like that to be able to share how we identify. It's
Yeah,
something that we've been asking and really pleading for so long. There's so much that Twitch can do and needs to do, and it's not just a matter of disability. It's on all different levels, all different platforms, and so yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
everything it's very frustrating when everything is all these third party tools, and so you have to basically opt in to everything rather than these all these tools such as like closed captions and whatnot m- being a native part of the site and should just be a, I don't know, like an opt out,
Mhm,
because there's if you don't, a lot of times if you're not aware of people who need those tools, then you don't even then people don't even think about it. Like, I even, it's like I have friends who don't use closed captions. I'm like, I don't understand what you're saying. Like, I
mhm,
can't understand you without the captions. It's, because like for me, I have like auditory processing uh issues, so it's
Mhm.
like sometimes it just sounds like a bunch of garbage, but I hear you. But so, it would be so easy for Twitch to just give a crap, but they don't.
mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's what we see that with a lot of these things. Vic, were you gonna add
Oh
something?
no, you're good. No, you're
Okay.
good.
But I actually wanted to touch on something that you had said while we're on the subject of Twitch. We did finally, I cannot put enough emphasis on finally, we did finally get identity tags in this, I think back in May of this year. So I wanted to ask
Yay.
about y'all. Yay, yes. A very late yay, but yeah, this was years in the making and a lot of ignored discussion and things like that for a small amount of progress. But I'm interested. What has y'all's experience been using the identity tags that are available on Twitch? And for you, NFTs, what's been your experience, just interacting and engaging with other drag artists as a drag queen with disabilities out there
Mhm,
doing the gigs? So identity tags and the
mhm.
drag scene. What are our experiences with these?
So for the identity tags, I'm very curious about the drag scene. But for the identity tags, I freaking love that they are, a thing that we can use now, to show everyone in our communities who we are when new people come in. Obviously there has been a huge issue with, these hate raids and hate bots and all these things
Mhm.
coming in, but I still choose to use them because screw the haters. Like, give me some more views. You know what I'm saying? But like, this is still how I identify, and this is I want to identify this way, and I want people to know this is who I am. I think for me, using the disability tag, um, has been probably the hardest of the tags that I've used, just
Mhm.
because I'm not always sure how to talk about my disability on my stream.
Mhm.
And it's a me issue, really. Where I don't ever want to feel like I am bringing a mood down or making people feel like I am doing like a sympathy type of situation, which I shouldn't feel that way. And I know that
No.
Mhm.
inside, but it just in the moment, because I've had that, especially now that I do have the disability tag up, where people are like, how are you disabled? You know what I'm saying? And so it kind of makes, like I said, it makes me feel that way. But also I'm really glad for it, because without the disability tag, people probably wouldn't know that I'm disabled just because I sit in a chair. I'm
Mhm.
just sitting here most of the time. Like, you wouldn't know I have a bone disease, and you wouldn't know all the different things that happen to it, because you can't really see it. When you see my chest and everything.
Yeah. But
you
come
know,
on now, you gotta put on a show. Yes. It's unfortunate though that people like feel that ownership over like it's none of your business.
mm,
Like or just because you can't tell or you see, like it doesn't mean that you get to call it into question.
right. And
So
that is another issue with that as well. So it's like a double-edged sword, because I do like I feel awkward about it, but I do kind of want to have that conversation with my community. But at the same time, I feel like you're questioning it, and so then it's a conflicting issue for me.
understandable.
I feel like people don't need to know your diagnosis to be able to share space with you.
Exactly.
Like,
A round of applause.
it's not hard.
It's not.
Whenever people ask me, so when is a good time to ask someone about the disability? I'm like, what? Like, is are you talking about how many minutes do you have to be next to me on the train before you can ask, why are you in that chair? Like, I
Yeah.
mean, my God.
Is it 4 minutes or 9 minutes? I need to know.
It's so
That's
awkward. If it's an express train, the minutes count for less. Like, I'm telling you, don't. I don't want. We're just trying to
Not the
get where
minutes
we're
counting for
going.
less.
Mm.
yeah, on the express, there's not enough
Jeez,
time for you to add
there's
up.
not
So
enough
just
time.
go. No, leave it
Okay,
alone.
no. And also, the person you're talking to is a person, not just some scientific curiosity for you to like. Well,
Right.
I just want to know. Man, go to the internet. There's probably a blog post by someone with disability you can read all about, who's willing to share their journey with you. But the random person you meet on the street, even if their day job is disability education, are they clocked in? Are you paying the bills? Nah, you're just some dude. Like,
That
leave me
part
alone.
you can pay
Oh
me,
my god.
but I might still
Yeah.
need to just leave though.
Yeah,
It's a
here's my
lot.
Venmo.
Right.
It is a lot. It's on Twitter and on Twitch, people have this kind of parasocial relationship where, well, you're in your house, you're watching me feed my cat. That does not mean that you get to ask me how my blood work was last week. Like, it's
Yeah.
just
Which
no.
brings me to my next question. I'm just kidding.
Stop. Oh
What
my
was your blood
god.
work like?
That's
We're not
I.
getting
s-
into that.
No, no, we are
We're trying to
absolutely
attack all this
we're
hemoglobin.
not. Um, Sheepy, anything you want to add on your experience with Twitch? I don't know, have you been streaming much
Yeah,
since the tags have
I
been?
did stream for like a lot a while. I stopped streaming only like a couple months ago.
Yes.
But I really I wish that I could use more than, what is it, 5 tags
Five.
at a time, because I feel like I'm like, you have to choose like which identity is more important than another, and it's like all these intersectionalities, and you have to pick. But
Yep.
do I think that they bring more good than bad overall, because I know for me it's really cool to find other, you know, it's like I mentioned, like intersectionality. So you find, oh, okay, well, this person is also trans and they're also autistic. That'd be cool to go send, my community over there.
Hmm.
And also, to have the tags and stuff is also helpful, because like when I stream, so sometimes stream with a VTube avatar, so you
Mhm.
can't actually see me, but you can still kind of know a little bit about me without
Mhm.
having to see me.
Mm.
Yeah. I love
That
that about
makes
the
sense.
VTubers. It allows you to still inject your personality but maintain privacy, and I'm all
Mhm.
for it.
Yay, yay. I'll go next as like the last person in particular about being disabled in like drag spaces.
Hmm.
I would say overall, I personally have had more of an easier time than say someone who has more of a physical related disability,
Hmm.
only because like the only real tell that like people can like infer that I'm disabled, quote unquote, is my glasses. Like beyond that, like most people can't tell that I'm also like autistic and have ADHD. Like I pass pretty well. So with that being said, I mean, overall, I feel like drag spaces in general are okay, but some of them there could always be better work. And I really like that. I'm gonna spotlight a show called Reparations. It's over in San Francisco, specifically at
Hmm.
Oasis, every second Friday of the month. They do an amazing job of centering Black disabled voices, particularly if you sign up with them, you can get a ticket for free. They do accommodations. That was like just an amazing experience. So if any of you are ever out in the Bay Area on like a second Friday of a night, head to Oasis, please. Nikki Jizz puts on a show.
Yes, I generally want to go see a reparation show the next time I'm in Northern California.
Yay.
No, wait, I love that. So we'll lighten it up for a moment before we dive into something pretty serious. But it's the end of days, and the only way to save the world is to destroy one game and honor another. Pick one game with terrible accessibility to sacrifice for eternity, and pick one game that exemplifies what accessibility in games should look like. Hmm. Hmm. Do 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 do.
Well, this is really hard, but I'm gonna go. But whatever. I'm gonna nix Call of Duty. It's blown up. Sorry for all the Call of Duty fans. I'm sure this is Stream
Why?
Queen, so there's probably not a lot.
There's two.
Uh, there's two.
I counted. I'm just like,
Call of Duty's out. And I'm probably gonna hype DBD up just because I feel like DBD, with the only reason not but they are controller accessible, which is helpful for me.
love that.
And then
Yay.
also because of the color blindness situation that was happening,
Mm.
and they recently did that. And I don't hear a lot about that from other games. So for those two reasons, I'm gonna keep DVD. Plus, I play it all the time, so I'm gonna keep playing it in the days.
Go figure. Somebody brought up Dead by Daylight at Stream Queens Con.
Don't come for me.
No, no, no. Vic, listen. You are in. I'm the one who has a target on my back now because of this. You're good. You're among friends. Oh, so we got Call of Duty out, DBD in. What else we got?
I can't decide. There's so many inaccessible video games that the
Yeah.
world would not actually miss. Like I mean, I don't know which fandom to target most. Like, dibbity.
Yes, this is my favorite
But
part. Let's
I
target
will
fandoms.
spotlight one that I would love to keep, and I'm not saying it's perfect because there's no game that has every single accessible thing that could make it playable for everybody. But it was a very good experience for me. There are very few games that I have on multiple platforms, but I have control on everything you can play it on because control is great.
Oh wow.
Like Control had such good target assist. It had good,
Yeah.
like you could adjust so many different things. Control really helped me figure out, like, you could just enjoy figuring out the mystery of the game without feeling like the game was weighing you down. Oh my god, it was so good. Like just going into all the accessibility things and changing things up and adjusting how challenging you wanted the game to be. So if you're the kind of person who like gets frustrated because you're just not in the right mental headspace, it's a good game where yes, there is video game violence, but like it's chill violence. It's good. I recommend Control. It was really good.
Just a little bonk.
Yep,
That's
yep.
still chill vibe. Yes. All right. What else we got? So this one we had Control in. And did
I
you get
cannot
rid
pick
of
one. There's
one?
too many games that are just not
Everything
playable.
else out.
Right. Control in. Everything else. Stop playing it right now.
Word.
No more games.
No more
Sorry.
games. You can't play Stardew anymore,
No
Sheepy.
more
I'm so
Mutant
sorry.
Power Games.
Sheepy, your face.
Well,
You got
I
so
can't
sad.
keep Stardew. I'm gonna keep at least Risk of Rain too.
Okay.
That, that's my other favorite game.
Way to
I
lean
don't.
in.
I play it with mods and stuff too to make
Mhm.
it, you know, better.
Oh,
But
yes. What are these
I,
mods?
I'll keep that one if I can't keep Stardew.
Okay, okay. You can keep, but I need to know what mod do you use, or what's your favorite mod with Risk of Rain too?
With Risk of Rain, share items.
Here, oh, what does that
So
do?
when you're playing with multiple people, um, in the game, usually, when you open up boxes for items, like whoever opens it gets that item. But if you have like a Captain Grabby Hands on your team, they could take all the items and then you end up with a really bad build. So share items guarantees that everyone gets the same items. So no matter who picks it
Oh
up,
yay.
everyone gets the item.
I love
So
that.
then
That's
so then
really cool.
everyone can progress together
I
and
love that. I really dig
it's
that.
I wish that they made it like an integral like part of the game, and even the devs of the game have acknowledged that it is like they use it.
Oh wow.
They just haven't
Oh
put it in the
yes,
game.
Wow.
I said us first. Shady. Now, and Neftees, I know that you actually did. You get rid of a game, Sheepy?
Huh, ooh, I think okay. I'm only getting rid of this game because it's just it's personal. Uh,
Do it.
I'm gonna get rid of Sea of Thieves because
Okay,
I
that's
can't play
okay.
it
Hey.
because I can't play first person games
Oh, okay.
and they don't have third person and it makes me mad. So I'm gonna get rid of that one because
Oof.
my friends get to play it and I don't.
I was just gonna say, I know them Poppy and them be playing Sea of
I know
Thieves.
the puppy gets played.
Oh. For me, the one that was gonna go out, it's gonna be a hot take because they only play RPGs.
Oh, I can't wait.
But yeah, I'm just gonna say it. Skyrim needs to go. Skyrim and its 50, 11
Ja-
bazillion iterations need to go. And specifically the special edition that on console, because they only play mainly on console, it only lets you put in a certain number of mods, and then after that, it's done. Like you have to like switch them out. It's so stupid.
I love that.
Literally, like beyond that, like it's a fine game, and like I'm still like I think past Hellgate or something like that. But like, I just find it really odd, like they finally bowed to like people using mods to make the game better, but they were like, yeah, the console can't really handle it, so we're just gonna limit it to like 5. Good luck.
That's real. That's very true.
Yeah, and the one I'm going to keep
Yes.
is it is pretty violent, but like beyond that, it's a really good game and it's a really amazing story. Dragon Age Origins, if y'all have not played
Yes.
that,
Okay.
it is amazing. It is that girl. It is the moment. The only thing I will advise is that the fade on the console and the deep roads are two of the longest slogs of the game.
Oh my god.
Uh,
The pandemic versus the deep roads.
Yeah, not the deep roads. Please, no, no.
You'll be in them shits forever.
this is
Yeah.
this is the deep road. I can't.
This is the deep road.
It's happening.
Yeah.
Not the pandemic versus the deep road. I used to play Dragon Age
But I will say
Origins
one thing
so
about
much.
Origins though. Dragon Age is when BioWare decided they were going to take the color brown out of the skin tone box and leave it in the hair
Yes.
color and the eye color box. So you can't even be a black person in Dragon Age Origins. That's
Yeah.
why I said throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Ooh. No, no, no.
Like
It's true. It's true. It's
it's
true. I
true.
ain't even gonna
You
defend them,
you
but
look
no, no.
like you have a bad sunburn and you from the whitest country in the world. Like it's so sad.
Listen.
That's the
no.
darkest skin tone you could get in Dragon Age Origins.
Mm-hmm.
Medium. I think it's
It
like
was
not
whack.
even medium deep, but like medium tan or
No.
something like that.
Like
Medium
like medium the
tan.
bottom of a white person's foot. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm so mad.
Like slightly less pale is what they called it.
Yeah.
Like unseasoned
My
cooked chicken.
God.
Not
Okay?
the unseasoned.
And then they even lampshaded it in the second game with the companion Isabel. It was like, oh yeah, I look different now. Pay no attention to that.
I'm
Yeah, we
different.
discovered
I
that brown could be a
swear.
skin tone.
Oh, yeah.
Lord
But then they
Jesus.
redeemed themselves in Vivian in the third game, so it was fine. It was fine.
At least it got better. At least it got
It
better.
wasn't fine. But
My
anywho,
bad.
we're gonna carry on.
This panel is now the drag unaged dragging panel. Ready?
Dragging.
You can't let a drag queen say drag that many times in a sentence. It gets very
You can't.
confusing.
You
Okay.
can't.
So we're going to take a bit of a serious turn just because this is a topic that's very important. It's something that is very prevalent in y'all's lives, and it's something that I think that more people need to be aware of. So let's talk medicine. We talked a little bit last year about how when it comes to people with disabilities, many medical professionals actively gaslight, misrepresent, misinterpret, mislead, the list goes on. So can y'all share a little bit of, again, what you're comfortable sharing, a little bit about your experience with medical providers, professionals, unprofessionals? You better crack them knuckles, Jay. Better crack them knuckles. All right.
See that
You
doctor
know what?
getting
I
his
should have
throat
known.
tight?
This is a fighting ass question. This is my fault. You said chill violence? That time is
Yeah.
over.
So this is going to be intersectional
Yes.
because if you're a disabled person and you happen to be white, people might infantilize you. They might open a door for you when you don't need it. They might treat you like you don't have agency and it's disrespectful. But if you're a disabled person and you're black, they immediately go to, "Oh, you're faking. Oh, you don't feel pain. You don't need medication. You're just pretending to get, whatever to get benefits or something. You're drug seeking. You just have diabetes. You're just here because you're trying to get a benefit or something." These are things that I've been told by doctors before they even get into my exam room to look at my chart to realize that I have an allergy to painkillers, so I'm not drug seeking. My blood sugar's been normal my whole life, so I'm not diabetic. And I have multiple diagnosed disabilities. I'm here because I need help, not because I want money from the government. Like, good lord. So yeah, it is really frustrating, and the pandemic has made it super hard because you're trying to stay calm while immunocompromised in a medical facility where people are dying of COVID because you have to be here because you need meds to not die, and the doctors don't take you seriously. And if you don't keep your chill, you're going to be the angry black lady they call the cops on, and you still won't get your medication. So it's been a ride. How
Yeah.
about y'all?
Same.
I'm going with what Jay said. How about y'all? Who's next?
So for me, so for a little background on my disease, I have a bone disease. It's XLH, X-linked hypophosphatemia, and it's a hereditary disease. And so like my mom had it, her sisters have it, etc. And there's never been like really a lot of information on it, and so I've had it since I was born, and I've always been in the hospital and different things like that. But the amount of doctors that know like the proper treatments for it and think is few. We are actually over the past like 5 years or so, we've been in a study. I'm in Kentucky, and we've been in a study in Indiana, and at the Indianapolis Hospital
Mhm.
for our bone disease, for medication that is supposed to help. And it was actually FDA approved recently within the past 2 years, and so we started taking it. But I was in a study for it for so long, but there was just nothing. There's not been nothing available for our bone disease. I take like ibuprofen or Tylenol, and I've had to have like I need knee replacements. Like there's so many different things that I need to have done that because of my age and where I'm at, like I'm not able to get it done, and so I'm a big I'm a big boy. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you can't hide that. Y'all see. But because of my bone disease and the way that like my body works and just like I can't put a lot of pressure on myself. Like there's not a lot of options for me to lose the weight. I can't fix my knees because I'm not allowed to have the knee surgery. But when I go to like a primary care physician, a regular doctor, they just say you just need to go work out. They say all these things to me, and these are things I just can't change, at this moment. And they don't offer me real help. They've offered me oh my god, I can't even think of the name. Y'all are gonna think I'm so stupid.
No, we
The
won't.
person you go to, to like work out your muscles or like stretch and stuff like that, a chiropractor.
Oh yeah.
They like try to get me to go to a chiropractor, but I'm like bowed in my legs and bowed in my arms, so like I can only bend so much, and so like being able to do those things, it just it's not an option, and so they can't help me. And so that kind of stuff happens all the time, and the only doctor that really truly understands our bone disease and has looked at it is in a whole different state. So my
Oof.
insurance doesn't cover that kind of situation. And so because of the study, thankfully, we're able to see the doctor once every year or two. So
Wow.
yeah, it's been
That's a lot of tape. That's a lot of
rough.
hoops to jump through.
Right, right, right. And that's I'm in Kentucky. That's just the whole thing. Okay, keep
Listen,
going.
I had to fight. I because when Vic and I did our sound test, we went off about Kentucky. I've been there once, and we don't need to go into it.
Never again.
We'll save that for the states we don't like panel next Stream Queens Con. Uh, Nefties, would you like to share with us?
Sure, I'll go. I talked about it with you last night after
Mm-hmm.
we were, I think we were doing like sound prep or whatever. But I had gone to Kaiser because I live in California and we have Kaiser for the entire state and various other
Mm-hmm.
states. And I just noticed that like getting my emergency meds was really a hassle. So I went there at like 2 a.m. on a Tuesday. I was like, okay, the line's long, let me just wait. I go in. Apparently they don't have it filled for the emergency orders. I was like, okay, that's fine. They tell me, oh, it'll be an hour. I was like, oh, okay, I'll go find food or something to do. I go to get a pizza. I shit y'all not, like like right before I step into the pizza place. So like I get a text of like, oh, 3 orders are filled. I go get the pizza, come right back, and then they're all like, yeah, you have to pay the copay still for emergency medicines. It was like, what? Excuse me? And I had to like be like really pissy with like the pharmacy tech, and I was like, "Ma'am, I have been without my meds for 2 weeks now. You were seriously going to make me pay?" And she was like, "Well, we could do like a bill transfer." I was like, "Please do that." And like for me, I've just been noticing that like Kaiser's also been really bad in terms of mental health, which has been reported in the news. Like the way that they do it is like very inaccessible and like not okay because the way they do it is like very like group therapy focused. And I had to gone outside of the network for someone who contracts with the insurance to get a therapist that actually meets my needs. So that's how the American medical system is failing me.
It's so real,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Because there's just basic like quality of life, not basic, but like quality of life things that people like y'all need that are just
yeah.
that they make
Really,
it so difficult to get even something that is insufficient, you know?
exactly.
Hmm.
Shibi, do you have something to add?
Uh, I don't even know where to start. So I guess um the most like major things and stuff probably started in like over a decade ago. I started so I have POTS, and I also have other like electrical like heart issues, and I was in basic training in the military at the time, and like the doctors there just dismissed me as being like anxious or whatever.
Mm.
And so they, it's like rather than realize that I had these other issues or whatever, they put me on narcotics. And that actually, when I left, I went to the doctors and like cardiologists and stuff, and they said, yeah, that this stuff makes your issues worse than they actually are. So that like sort of set a whole, domino effect of having like pretty bad POTS and heart issues. And then I started, and then like a few years later, I started having more like chronic fatigue and chronic pain in my neck and my back. And, doctors always, dismissed me as, just, oh, well, like go to a chiropractor, go to like a, those places where they make you do like special stretches and stuff. I don't know. But that was making it worse. And it wasn't until this past year, so like 8 years later, that I finally had the they did a blood test to find out that I had the HLA-B27 like marker thing, so to prove that like I actually do have like an immune disease.
Mhm.
So but like all this time they just ignored like my needs, and I had a lot of trouble like speaking and stuff. And so I had but now I have like my partner come with me because like I'm autistic, and sometimes am like non-speaking or I have trouble. And so with him there advocating for me, because nobody really listens to like, it's like, oh, you're femme presenting or whatever, like nobody's gonna listen to you. I had my primary care doctor before he did the blood test was like, oh, maybe you just need to gain some weight. um and I'm like, no, I don't. Not going to go into it, but I'm recovered from severe anorexia, so I'm doing good now,
There you
actually.
go.
uh but now it's only now that I'm finally getting like looked at and sent to like the correct doctors to try and
Mhm.
figure out what I have. My doctor thinks that it's axial spondyloarthritis or whatever it is, which is basically it's like a precursor to when your bones in your spine start to fuse.
Mm.
um so but like they've just like ignored me this whole time, just dismissing
Yeah.
everything. So I don't know. I hate doctors.
No, it's
No,
and
I get
it's
it.
I wish that it was like the reason I even included a question like this is because I wish that it was rare that I heard from folks with disabilities that I know. I wish it was rare that there were things like this that happen, but it's almost like built into the system like that there's roadblock after roadblock after roadblock to get not very far in the care that is needed in a lot of these situations, and it's unacceptable. And it's just it's another systemic thing that we've just allowed to happen for so long. But when I sort of to piggyback on this, what do y'all? This one is not one of the questions that I sent, but why do you think it's important to have these conversations about specifically things like the things I'll deal with from a medical standpoint? Why is it important for people that might not be able to directly relate to that, or they don't know somebody going through that sort of a thing? Why is it important for other people to know to like hear what y'all got to put up with and work through?
I think in general, it's definitely a positive thing for people who have the privilege to not have experienced discrimination in a medical setting to understand that it does happen so that they can be better advocates for people if they need it, so they can be someone who their friends can talk to about it. It helps you be a better friend if you're aware that way you're not, as a person who's going through this, you don't have to educate everyone who you care about so that they can then help you. They actually might be able to get some experience and some education on their own,
Mm.
because I personally can't be in relationships with people who I have to also teach how to relate to me
Mhm.
as a black woman and how as a disabled person, as a queer person. Like you need to be able to support people without them also having to educate and handhold you the entire time.
Mhm.
And so I think it's really important for this kind of education to be something that people can get from their peers so that they can be there for people who need them. Because at the end of the day, we all want to be a positive influence in each other's lives, and the more knowledge we have about experiences that we don't share, the better person we can be.
100%.
Piggybacking off of what Jay said, I also feel like I'm going to use the word. I don't like using the word, but I'll use it. It normalizes. Thank you, Twitter. It normalizes what we as like disabled people all go through, because I still feel like in general in society, unless you have like someone who's close to you that's disabled, or someone that you know of in your family that's disabled, I feel like for a lot of us, um, there is this one image of disability that's like viewed as this very needy type of person that needs to be helped, that needs
Hmm.
certain things done for them. That like, and I feel like in a way it really is showcasing that like disability is not a one size model. It doesn't look like it's regardless of race, regardless of color, regardless of gender. Like it affects all of us. And if y'all didn't know, but I know this, disabled people make up the largest minority of people in the U.S. per capita.
Mm.
So, and I also feel like in general, it's a race issues too, because I feel like people in the Black community don't talk about disability. We very much are comfortable with hiding it, or saying like, "Oh, this cousin is just a little different, or they have certain challenges," and yada yada yada. They don't really like elaborate on what that person goes through, and they shield them, they hide them, and they don't really like talk about it. So I feel like
Yeah.
there's still a lot of shame in the communities that come from that disability is not talked about.
Yeah, and honestly, it makes me very happy to see that this panel is entirely queer and majority black, because of what you said. We don't talk about it, about disability a lot in the black community. It's something that we very actively shy away from talking, because a lot of us don't feel equipped to talk about it. But we gotta start, like, especially
Yeah.
if we have folks with disabilities in our families.
We're not allowed to need help. We're not allowed to seek support. We have to be the workhorses. We have to support everybody else. So it was, I was not literally allowed to, even though I was diagnosed as a child, I wasn't allowed to get mobility aids until after I basically like ran away from home. Like
Mm.
I could not get help in my home environment because
Yeah.
I had to be second mother as the oldest daughter to
Mhm.
everybody else. Like it's rough. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think that it's really important to share these stories so people can understand what people are going through, because maybe there's someone listening who struggles a lot but doesn't really understand that the pain that they are having counts as a disability. Like, yes, your disability is valid. You aren't supposed to only be able to walk for 10 minutes a day and then have to go lie down. You aren't
Yeah.
supposed to not be able to like exist without pain. Like,
Mhm. Mhm.
you should be able to seek pain management and not be afraid of being labeled disabled, because the disability label does not mean that you aren't good enough. It means that you need accommodations and you deserve them.
Absolutely. I know that not everyone has answered this most recent question, but I do want to, there's one more that I want to throw out to the group before we have to wrap up. We have about 5 minutes left, just so that we're all aware. But I could not end this panel without bringing this up. In 2018, Erin Rose Phillips became the first Black transgender person with a physical disability to be represented by a major modeling agency. In 2021, she became the first model to hit a runway in a wheelchair for a major luxury fashion brand. And I just wanted to ask y'all, I know this is a big question. We don't have a whole lot of time left, but I just wanted, if we could all touch on this a little bit. What does this level of representation mean? And it can be just in general. It can be in an industry like the fashion industry, which has been historically ableist, racist, body shaming, you name it.
Mhm.
What does this level of representation mean? What does it make y'all think of and feel?
I think this is an amazing, important accomplishment for her. And I think that it also means that we need to support women who want to be models from the ground up, because I don't want Erin Rose to be tokenized. I don't
No.
want people to say, oh, look, we let one person have a wheelchair on the runway. That's going to be enough. Because we first saw the first black woman walk down the runway decades ago, and black women are still having to do their own makeup for modeling shoots because they don't get their makeup stocked, because they're not seen as being equal to everyone else. They're not getting the same treatment, the same support. I want every single disabled person to look at a modeling runway and think, I can be there one day
Hmm.
because I'm going to get the support that I need. So I definitely think more people should be supporting people who have these kind of dreams, that they are attainable, that they can do this.
Yes.
Because I don't want her to be tokenized. I want there to be more than one person at this level.
Normalize, don't
Yes,
tokenize.
exactly.
Boom.
And this question, just I mean, statement piggybacking off of the last question, like this is why these conversations are important. Not that we should have to say like, point out where, there's a lack of diversity, a lack of people with disabilities. But the fact is like, if it's not talked about, it's not seen, they're not going to do anything about it. So having these conversations, allowing everyone to be a part of this conversation, to be able to push it in these industries, in these areas. I mean, it's why you're starting to see this turn in, like, especially on like shows, like TV shows, like they're starting to put more people with disabilities in their shows.
Hmm.
And honestly, for me, like that makes me so happy to see that. And that just needs to happen even more, like with queer people in shows, like you start to see it, and most of the time they're like the side character or whatever, but at least they're there. Same with people with disabilities. But this conversation needs to happen even more, because the more we have it, the sooner we're going to see a disability person leading the show, being
Yeah.
the star. And it shouldn't be one show where there's someone with a disability that's the lead. This should be normalized. It should be in all kinds of shows and movies, and all these different platforms on Twitch. Oh,
Listen,
where's my
yes.
moment?
Where is it? Come on. Sheepy, what do you think?
Um, I uh I think it's really important to see more and more, um, you know, dis- d- disabled people and representation in the media. So, like in fashion, and I was talking about this today because I was reading some article about, another show who has like a an act like an actual disabled woman playing a disabled woman, and like when I watch, uh, you know, uh, like I'm watching some show called like Lock and Key right now, and there's
Mm,
an autistic coded person in the show, and I was like, is that person played by an autistic actor? And it was, and I was like, oh, thank goodness. Like,
cool.
like seeing more and more on in shows. I want to see them in I want to see people in being the main character, but I also want to just see them in the background, just existing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, because uh, disabled people are not some like tiny percentage of people. We're everywhere, but so like hushed. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's
Hmm.
like, it's like if you asked any of my relatives about like my being disabled or autistic or something, they're like, oh, we don't use those words. You know what I mean? So it's like, eh, 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 we need to see it more, and we need to be almost overwhelmed by it so
Yeah.
that it just becomes more natural. Because uh, there's too many people out there who maybe look down at or scoff at disability, but it's like, you're not disabled yet, but you probably will be in your lifetime.
Mm.
It may not be right now. I'm not like threatening you like I'm about to disable you, but you know what I mean? Like,
she, she,
you're next.
No.
they
No.
they said yeah.
so
Swear.
listen so listen to what
Yeah,
this
don't
this
wait
disabled
until
advocates have to say, and
yeah.
hear us.
Here,
Exactly,
yes.
exactly. I'll piggyback off of what you're saying, Sheepy. I often feel a lot of times when it comes to both autistic narratives and also a lot of times black narratives and just narratives of the other in general, I feel like we're not allowed to just exist and just be. And I've had an issue with that too recently with a lot of like black centered media. It's like the stories are the only stories that Hollywood wants to talk about are the ones that are either war stories or historical period pieces where ancestors were just enslaved and just unhappy and like miserable and painful. And I'm so tired of it only being viewed as viable and good. And I'm tired of the words being used being viable and and all these words that like basically come down to the fact that like we need more white seats in the audience than there are black people to come watch the show, which was
Mhm.
my issue with I think the recent next adaptation, The Harder They Fall. They
Mhm.
did really
Oh no.
inaccurate things with Miss
Oh no.
Zazie Beats. Yeah,
No.
I got a thing with her. Like, yeah, no, and like the way that like these actors and directors talk about how they study it, and it's like, no, you didn't really study it. No, you didn't really care about it. And the way that they double down is also really dangerous to me too, because it's like if you really paid attention to the source material, you wouldn't have casted Zazie Beats at all for
It's not
Stagecoach
even that they
Mary.
didn't pay attention.
Yeah.
Okay, they literally said, "We recognize that Stagecoach Mary is a real person who was a heavyset black woman, and Octavia Butler, like there's like, many black actresses would have been fantastic for her, but they deliberately cast a biracial, light-skinned woman who is thin to play her because she's a love interest. Because they're trying to say that dark skinned, larger black women are not lovable. We can't be loved. Okay, thank you for that. Now I know to boycott everything you ever
Now
make.
I
I'm gonna
know.
curse on you. You shall never. Every weapon forged against you shall prosper. I was so mad.
Okay.
Oh my god.
She said I did threaten it.
Okay, okay. All right, I've got. Listen, I love this. This panel could go on for another
First you want
hour.
to sell the trauma, and then you want to bring the colorism. Oh my goodness, I'm
Oh,
ashamed of you.
Y'all, we could. I wish we had another 2 hours because we could fill it.
yeah.
But I want to thank you all so much for joining us today. Could we do a very quick plug of where people can follow you? You can remind them of your pronouns, and then yeah, we're gonna have to jump. We're gonna have to get on out of here in a second.
We're getting skadoodled.
We are, but this has been so good, and I do want to say thank you all so much for allowing me to moderate this panel and facilitate this conversation once again. These conversations are so important to have, and y'all, this conversation does not stop here. You'll need to go and follow these incredible creators, see what they're doing, see what's going on in their daily lives. Normalize, do not tokenize. Sheepy, where can we find you?
I'm Sheepy, Faye Fair, or they, them. You can mostly find me on Twitter, but I also have a link tree on there. So, yeah. Bye.
Thank you, Sheepy, and your lovely hat.
Okay.
Vic, where can we find you?
You can find me at MVic Plays on Twitch, Twitter, on all the things.
Love that. MVic plays with a Z. Don't get it
With the
twisted.
Z's.
Neftis, where can we find
Yes.
you, my friend?
You can find me on Twitter at Neftizamon, Grand Duchess of Wisconsin is the name. Please don't follow me there because it's kind of just weird, and it's not weird to me. It's fine. It's like I'm a different person than I am on Twitter versus what I am when I post on Instagram. And for Instagram, it's neftiz.amon.
There we go. Yes, and I just followed you on Twitter today. I love it.
Yeah. Queen of Cringe. Queen of Cringe.
Fears. Jay Justice, where can the people find you, friends?
I'm that Jay Justice on all the things. If you want to hire me to fix your book or video game, it's jjustice.net for the professional stuff. You can listen to all my lovely rants on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Discord, or Facebook.
And panels and daily panels every day of the year.
Oh yes, all the panels, all the panels.
Yeah.
Love that. And I've been your moderator, Sir Real Camille. That's SIR Real Camille. You can find me in all the places at that. And thank y'all so much for a wonderful conversation. Enjoy Stream Queens Con, and we'll be back with some more fabulous. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.